Hello chess friends and welcome to another video on the ABC Chess Analysis channel. Today we have a game between the Grandmasters Anand and Mamedyarov from the Tata Steel Masters 2019. The game was played in the round 8. So they play e4, c6, d4, d5, so that was the Caro-Kann. After that e5, c5 and d takes c5 was played. e6, opening the diagonal for a dark color bishop to take the pawn on c5, and after that knight to f3, bishop takes pawn on c5, and a3 was played. So black continued with developing, knight to e7 and bishop to d3, very good position for a bishop because he controlled both diagonals, diagonal to a6, and he tried some attack in the future on the h7. So knight to g6 was played, and after that castle on both sides. So knight bd2 was played, and here knight c6. So we can see that these two knights are making a really big pressure on the pawn on e5. So white play b4 first to attack the bishop. When the bishop goes back, here white play one very interesting move. He traded a very good bishop on d3 square for not so good knight on c6. He played the move bishop takes c6, but instead of that, what he could try, maybe he could try to play bishop to b2 or rook to e1 to defend pawn on e5. So let's see, if he played rook to e1, he's defending pawn on the e5 square, but after that maybe there's a sacrifice move, so knight can take on e5, and after knight takes e5, knight takes e5, the rook takes. There's a one not so comfortable move for white, so bishop to d4, which attacks two rooks, and that's not so good for white. Let's see, instead of that, you could also try a bishop to b2, which defends pawn on e5, but after that there is a knight to f4, which wants to take the bishop on d3, so the bishop goes to b5 to save the bishop, so a6, and if bishop goes to a4, it looks like that this bishop on a4 doesn't look so active, so that's the reason why he decided to trade the bishop from d3 for knight on g6, and after that black captured with the pawn, so knight to b3 was played, and bishop to d7, rook to e1, and a5. Black wants to trade the pawns here, but b5 is played and knight to e7, and there is a good moment for white to use the dark squares. So he played a4 and he opened a dark diagonal here, as we can see. So in the next move he can play bishop to a3, which looks very good here. So rook to c8 was played, and now if he moves the bishop on a3, which looks very good, but opponent's bishop on b6 square also make a lot of pressure on f2, which is semi-open file. A file semi-open, so that's not so good for white. So because of that, he decided to trade the bishops. He played bishop to e3 after the trading on that square. So knight goes to f5, attacks the rook, and the rook goes to d3. Tried some sacrifice in the future, so g5 and h3, b6, and after that white recognized a good moment for a tactical move, so he plays c4. Main idea of this one that black cannot capture on the c4 square because the bishop is hanging, so if he takes, then rook takes the bishop on the square d7, and he's a piece up. So instead of that, he can take that with the rook. That already happened in the game, but there is a sacrifice. Rook takes on d5, so if he takes it back, then queen takes with the check, and the rook is hanging. So that wasn't happening in the game. So after that, sacrifice on d5, rook f7 was played because bishop on the square d7 was attacked, and after that rook retreat on the square d3. So black goes with g4 and knight f to d2. He was able also to take it with a pawn on g4, but after that rook takes, and it doesn't look so good for white because there's always some options with the knight and the rook, and also he can include the queen on that attack on a white king. So instead of that, after g4, white goes with the move knight from f to d2, and this rook is attacked, so he also opened the diagonal for a queen to make more pressure on the g4 pawn. So rook b4 was played, and after that h takes g4, attacks the knight, so knight retreat back on e7, and knight f3, one more time increase the pressure on the file, so knight to d5, knight to bd4 was played, and after that rook to f4, threat to take the pawn on g4, so knight c2, one very good move strategy. Knight to c2 attacks the rook, so rook needs to go somewhere. Let's see where he can be moved. So in the game he played rook from b4 to e4, but let's see, if he takes on a4, then rook takes a4, rook takes a4, and it's an easy win for the white if he sacrifices the rook for a moment here. And when the pawn captures back, then the queen takes, it's a check. So if king moves, then e6, and he's pinned on the file. So it's clear that white is winning after all these moves. So after knight to c2, he played rook from b4 to e4, and there's also sacrifice. Rook takes d5. When the pawn takes back, then queen takes d5. This is the moment where Mamedyarov decided to resign because he cannot find a reasonable move here. So let's see what he could try. If he play king to h8, try to move the king somewhere, or it's better solution than move the king here. So on f8, so rook to d1, create the pressure on the bishop, and this bishop is hanging because there's no way to defend. He cannot go back with the rook on f7 and defend. So if you try to play rook takes g4, then just easy push the pawn on e6, make more pressure on the bishop, and just take it with the queen or with the pawn. Both line wins for a white. Also he cannot take it with the rook because queen takes, and there's a checkmate idea. So yeah, that's the reason why he resigned after the queen on d5 gives a check. Well, that was one very interesting game from the Caro-Kann played by two grandmasters, Anand and Mamedyarov. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.